All right, party people, welcome back. Welcome back to the Address of Champions Wrestling podcast brought to you by My House Sports. You are here with Damani and Serena.
Yep.
And Serena. And we're on episode 4 now, I believe. The ball has been rolling. We're thriving. We're living. How you feeling today?
I'm good. How are you, Damani?
You know me, always chilling. That's
always
it.
Chilling.
That's
Today,
it.
we actually have a special guest. She is one of my best customers. She is one of my best. She is based out in Florida, and she is the founder and head coach at Big Money Movin. Let me bring her on.
Oh, nah.
Who that is? I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am rich, I am that bitch. I am gonna go get that bag, and I'm not gonna take your shit. I am.
Okay.
Good morning.
Top
Good.
of the
How are you
morning.
guys?
We're good. So thank you for coming on. You are a women's wrestling coach, correct? All women?
Absolutely. Yep.
Very, very, very nice. So you will be our first women's wrestling coach that we had on the podcast. So this is exciting.
Okay.
We're a little crazy, Rylee, so don't mind us.
I'm here for it.
All right. So Rylee, tell us a little bit about how you got into wrestling, because obviously you were a wrestler.
Yeah, so actually it started for me. We were dancing in a dance studio, my siblings and I, and we were terrible dancers, like ballet, hip hop, jazz. My mom tried everything. My mom always liked watching UFC fights, stuff like that. So why we even tried dancing is beyond me. But there was an MMA gym over in the same studio, and they had Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, no-gi, and they had wrestling classes 2 or 3 times a week. The high school coaches would come and do wrestling classes, and they saw me. I was in middle school, and they were like, "Oh, are you getting into high school soon?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was just this little chunky kid that they took a risk on, and I started wrestled in high school, and never stopped after that.
Okay. Love that.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
that. All Florida? The whole time?
No. I actually started in California. I lived over in Chino Hills. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait. So what was the gym? What was the gym called? Was it like a big MMA gym?
It was it's called Millennia. It's over in Chino Hills, California.
Okay.
They
Is that
produce
where,
all sorts of fighters.
Is that Chino Hills? That's where the Ball brothers is from, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I actually went to high school with one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shout out to them.
Yeah.
So your team's name, your team that you coach now, what is that?
Big Money Movin.
Okay. Where'd that come from?
So I actually did it as a joke. It was just like, hey, this is funny. Let's put my face on some dollar bills and go out and wrestle and have a good time. And we ended up wrestling, and we were runner-ups to a pretty popular women's team called the Black Mambas. And nobody expected that. They're like, where'd these underdog kids come from? Where'd this team come from? And then everybody ever since was like, hey, you got to stick with it. So we've been doing it ever since.
You put your face on a singlet?
Yeah, my face is always on all the gear.
That's funny. We're going to have to send it some clips of that. We put it
she sent me a bunch of pictures of money.
That's wild.
When Rylee, I got your contact from another coach of mine, and when I heard that you were putting your face on money, I was like, this can't be serious. I was like, this is not, I did not think it was serious. And like I said, you are one of my best customers. You buy so much so often, and the artist loves doing your gear. You're wearing one right now. Which one is that? The barbecue one?
Yeah, this is the Barbecue Bells one. So it's got the hot dogs and the cornbread. Because I did.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Hold on.
Okay.
So we got cornbread, got hot dogs, you got meat grilling on the back. Hold on. You see all that?
We'll put it somewhere on the screen.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It is. You do a lot of the ideas too. You tell me what you want, and then the artist just does it. So
yeah, and it's always the most random stuff. Like our most recent one for West Virginia, we're doing rolling with the gnomies. So I'm a gardener surrounded by gnomes, little gangster gnomes.
Yeah, when is that? That's upcoming, right? That's in...
Yeah, April 4th.
Okay.
So early April.
Perfect.
So it's like a club team where you guys usually do most of your competitions outside of the regular season.
Yeah. Yeah,
you
it's
coach
outside
in
of the
season?
regular. I was coaching in season, but I had to stop just because I'm in school and work full time. I'm in the nursing program, so it was too
Okay.
much to juggle.
Okay. What
Yeah.
university?
I was actually at a high school. I was over at Merritt Island High.
Oh,
I did JV and the girls, so
okay.
yeah.
Right on. Right on. Well, congrats to the, working towards being someone who saves lives. That's really a big
Yeah.
deal. But
I
I
appreciate it.
wanted to really ask you something. Was there any like adversity or challenges that you were faced with being, a woman in what was known as a male dominated sport, and to be like, the face of your program and the coach? Was there any adversity that came with that?
Oh, absolutely. In high school, there was always myself and one other guy in the weight class, no matter what it was, just because I was a girl and I was on varsity. So it's like, I was the only girl for a little bit, and then I did make varsity because I was good enough to. And there were a couple instances where even he would be like, "Oh, I don't feel good, coach. I can't go out." And so I'd go out and wrestle, but then he would magically feel better. Like, it was just like, "Oh, send Rylee out if he doesn't want to," type of thing. But other than that, like, everybody's going to kind of look at you sideways or look at you different when you do something outside of the box or outside of somebody else's comfort zone. It's hard. It's hard to be accepted in a male dominant sport, But I think something that's important is just to remember, like, don't quit no matter what. People are going to look at you some type of way. People are going to think differently of you, and you just got to keep persevering.
That's a good mindset to have, really. Now,
Yeah.
do you practice any like mindset training? Do you teach your wrestlers mindset, and so like if they were faced with something similar, that they can overcome that, being that you've already were faced with something like that? So I feel like, do you lead by example, or do you like, hey, let's try this? Because I know like my team, we used to have like mindset training workshops where we would jump on a call with someone, and they would kind of instruct us and really help us out on a weekly basis.
Yeah, absolutely. As busy as I am, I always make time for my wrestlers, which I know sounds kind of cliche, but all of them have my number. Families have my numbers. Like, if they ever want to call me, they can always call me. As far as like in tournament, if a match doesn't go the way they want it to, I always send them to the bathroom, tell themselves to wash their face and look themselves in the mirror and tell them they're badass, basically. Like, yeah. And I had a girl who actually wrestled in Indiana. Well, the winner of the 155 class wrestles for me as well, but one of the other girls was there, and she went out the first round, and she called me and she was heartbroken. And I said, "What's one thing that you've learned, like, throughout wrestling for me? Like, what's something you've learned?" She's like, "That this isn't going to be the end, that I'm going to go to the bathroom and wash my face and tell myself I'm a badass," and like through tears. So.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. Let's see what we got here. Any key moments or any highlights of your career, wrestling or coaching, that you can look back on and be like, you know what, that was like it for me?
I think there's tons of memories that I'm going to hold on to for the rest of my life, but some of the key ones are definitely like watching these athletes like become who they're going to be, if that makes sense. Like, a lot of them, I get them early high school or even middle school and younger. Like, kindergarten through 12th is what I coach for Big Money, so they're small when I meet them. And I've watched some of them go all the way through high school and go on to wrestle in college. Like, just watching them become who they want to be is just, it's like, it's fulfilling, but I don't need the fulfillment. I do it because I want to,
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do it because I love watching them grow up. Like, one of them wrestled for me at Deep South Duels in Alabama, and she did terrible. She'll tell you to this day, she'll be like, "I'm sorry I even took the spot. That was so embarrassing." She's like, "Somebody else should have had it, somebody better." And now she's off wrestling in Michigan. and she's nationally ranked. Like,
Wow.
yeah, just
Did she start
watching
when you
them.
were young?
She started with me when she was in high school. But I
Okay.
know a lot of these young ones are going to stick around for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You went to a tournament. I forget which one it was. You sent me a picture with you with the crown on your
Yeah.
head. You guys won that tournament. What tournament was that?
That was Deep South Duels in
Oh,
Alabama.
that's Deep South
We've
Duels.
gone a
Nice.
couple years. Yeah.
Nice.
We've gone a couple years and we've won it both times. So that was the one that we
Okay.
started at where we were runner-ups, actually.
Is your favorite part? I know obviously your favorite part is about coaching is probably like seeing these girls grow up and like you're like the role model in the sport.
Yeah.
But do you like the traveling aspect of the sport too? Because you're from Florida, you're going to deep like
Yeah.
South Alabama.
Absolutely. I love traveling. Eventually I want to do travel nursing. So
Oh,
I
that'd be
love
fun.
the travel aspect. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
dope.
I didn't travel for any of my sports, but I'm now working for this business. I like the travel of it. I think that's probably one of my favorite parts of the job. So I always want to see like if that's the coach's favorite part of the job too, because it would be mine, I would imagine.
Absolutely. And like I never traveled as a wrestler. Like wrestling really wasn't as big for me anyway. Like I started kind of late, and middle school wasn't late, but high school I never really traveled like that. I traveled a couple times for like a camp in Ohio here or there, stuff like that. But the fact that the girls have such an opportunity now is amazing to me. Like some of them
Amazing.
come from tiny little cities or towns that you don't even know exist, and they're like, one girl came up to me one time, she's like, I'm from Kansas. And I was like, what? People come from Kansas? Like, but
What's
Yeah,
that? The Wizard of
it's
Oz?
just cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the one with
exactly.
the-
I'm like,
That's
click
great.
your shoes together, go home.
That's funny.
Yeah. Like women's wrestling has grown so much over the years. We talked about that in the first episode, Damani, just about wrestle like a girl, women's wrestling in general. It's the fastest growing sport. So it's honestly
Yeah.
amazing to see being like I wasn't in the sport, but being a woman and just seeing the sport grow as much as it did is really, really crazy to me.
It's
And it's still
amazing,
a
and all
sport.
the yeah,
And take
and all
role
the
models.
all the opportunities they have. And like, I never wrestled in college. I didn't further myself as a wrestler, but I chose the coaching route, and I don't regret it at all. I did for a little bit, just a little bit, like, oh, I wish I could have done it. But at the end of the day, I'm glad I did the route I did, because a lot of these girls even come to me for advice on like, what do you think about colleges? Like, and I know a lot of these people from colleges. Like, I know college coaches. I know coaches from travel teams. Like, it's just, the network is such a big part of it too.
That's really good. I love that. It's like it takes role models, and to be pivotal part in other children's lives. Like some of these girls, well, most of them, all of them, they're gonna remember you forever and hold you at such a high value in their life. So that's like really, really good to see. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Damani is a wrestling coach. He's from New York. I live in Westchester area, right outside of Philly. So I'm gonna say go Birds on this, just because.
Oh, brother.
But that's why I like how we have this like platform too, because we could bring guests on all over the states. So you're from Florida, New York, PA. So that's fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
For like your coaching style. So like, do you have a specific coaching style that you do like for your girls?
So there's always like an ongoing joke with all of the parents and all the wrestlers, like, all right, coach, watch yourself. You're going to end up in timeout again. I've only been in timeout once my whole career. One time. But I just advocate. I think that's one of the biggest things is a lot of coaches will be like, oh, the points were there, oh, whatever, and kind of like shake it off type of thing. If I see something, I say something. Like, the girls know that when they're on the mat, they can trust that their points are going to be there. That's one of the biggest things I stress to them. I'm like, if you step out on the mat and I'm in your corner, go wrestle. Don't worry about the points. Don't worry about the clock. I'm going to let you know. You're going to know what's happening, it's advocating. I mean, I've even overcome a lot of adversity with referees. Like, I had one of them one time ask me, like, well, how many national tournaments have you done? Like, I'm not going to sit here and prove myself to you.
Yeah.
That's silly. Like, you just got to stand your ground and just be there for them. I mean, freestyle is a little bit harder to argue stuff because you can't really argue in freestyle. You just kind of have to let it roll type of deal. They're rolling, it's rolling type of like. But folk style, I will, if they're out there, they know that they can trust that I'm going to take care of it. So.
Yeah.
Right.
How many
Yep.
girls are on the team?
What was that?
How many girls are on Big Money Movin'?
Oh gosh. It depends on the tournament. Like right now I have 24 on the roster for Viper Pit. But over time, like it's changed so much, or I've had so many different girls, like at least a couple hundred have been on the team by this point. A lot of
Nice.
them are in college now, so
Very neat.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. Now, where
Yeah.
are they going to schools? Like because now I feel like they're getting away from like, okay, women's wrestling is just one big division. Now it's like, all right, there's D1,
Yeah.
D2, D3, and AIA.
So we
JUCO.
got a variety. I've got one over in Alma College in Michigan. Presbyterian, I've got a couple girls who've wrestled Big Money. Huntington, a couple of them. Let's see. Trying to
Presbyterian. I think
think.
my friend coaches there. I think he is the coach, Brian V.
Okay. I'm not
Dang.
super familiar with Presbyterian, but I do know I've got one at Indiana Tech too. But they're everywhere.
Yeah, they're all
All
over.
over the
sounds
place.
like.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That's really good. Let's see. Let's jump around.
Jump
Talk
around.
about
Yeah.
what does life outside of wrestling look like for you?
Busy. Chaotic.
Busy? Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I only really have one day off a week, and it's not really a day off because it's when I'm catching up on laundry, homework, all of that. I'm a full-time student in nursing, so I'm going for my registered nurse, and that's super time consuming. And then on top of that, I work full-time at the hospital. I'm a nurse tech, so 3 12s on that, clinical day for school, another 12 hours, so I'm go.
Oh my goodness. Power
Yeah,
to
Yeah.
you.
my husband is a nurse, so he went through the nursing school. My other friend is a nurse. I remember them going through the schooling, and it's very, very tough because it's clinicals, then homework, then tests, and
Oh, yeah.
like all over. But now they're very, very happy that they are in the field. One is a delivery
Yeah.
nurse, and the other one is on a different floor, but I don't know which floor
Yeah.
that is.
It's extremely brutal, but you gotta make it happen, you know?
Yep.
Now, being that busy and stuff like that and everything, there's so much on your plate. How do you, stay afloat, stay positive? Is there like a strong support system? Like, who do you go
Absolutely.
to?
I've got a huge village. I always said it takes a village, and I really mean that. Like, as far as the big money stuff, I've got one of the college athletes, actually, she helps coach, and she does all of our searching for hotels and making sure, like, people can travel when they need to travel, like, stuff like that. Her mom makes me a flow sheet every tournament. Like, I've got a support system on Big Money, and then I've got a roommate that I split the apartment with, and we've kind of kept each other afloat the last couple of years, and people at the hospital, just in general. Like, I've always thought, like, oh, I don't want handouts type of thing, but it's not handouts if people actually care. And I think that's something that gets misconstrued a lot, and I don't ever want anybody to feel that way. Like, if I'm helping you, it's because I can and, like, I want to type of thing, and vice versa. If I'm getting help, I'm gonna take it because they care.
For sure. That's dope.
Yeah, I like that saying. It takes a village because it truly does. Anything
Oh,
you do
yeah.
in life, honestly, does take a village. Sports, life in general.
100%.
Yeah, I would say it's been, for sure. Like without everyone that's helped me on my journey, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today in front of you guys. So definitely takes a village. Again, people care, and that's love at the end of the day. So at least for
Absolutely.
me, I know I like kind of distant, but it's because again I'm the same way. I'm go. Schedule so busy, jam packed, doing a million things at once. But if they are listening, because they should, I want them to know that, hey, thank you for everything that you've done for me, and I appreciate you. You know,
100%.
I have another question. This is kind of about like us in general. So obviously, I said you're like one of my favorite customers. I will say my favorite customer, one of my best customers. What is your one thing that you like about My House Sports Gear? Just like, do you like the process, how the artwork turns out, the turnaround time? What do you like about My House and as a brand?
Overall, all of it. I know, like, if I had to narrow it down to one thing, I think it's just the open-mindedness and the willingness to be a part of something. And the artwork always turns out amazing, and just the friendliness too. I mean, you guys have never made me or any of the kids or anybody ever feel like, oh, that's kind of weird, or oh, like, you're just very open-minded and very willing. I think that's something that's important, because brands will tell you, like, oh, no, I don't want to do that. I've never had you tell me no.
No, I don't think
Like,
so. Samani,
But-
one time she was going down to Georgia for one of the tournaments, and you know that one song, like, you know how Georgia's known for peaches? You know that song Peaches by Justin Bieber? I was trying to get her Justin Bieber, but we went a different route. We went her picking peaches, but I really wanted that to be the singlet.
we tried everything. We tried to get Justin Bieber on it, and we tried to do like a Morgan Wallen thing.
Yeah,
We tried both.
That's funny.
it is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Damani, I was gonna say, like, back to the village part. I'm going back and forth.
You're
Just
good.
like, I'm sure you like you said, it takes a village for you, but that's in life in general. But what about MMA? Like, you know how like you're in like you have that squad. Is that your village?
I mean, MMA is definitely even more so, without the proper training partners, you're not going to get better. Being that, you got to beat each other up and actually punch and kick and choke and try to rip their limbs off. So it takes a village, and there's way more coaches, right? It's not only a wrestling coach. You got a jiu-jitsu coach. You got a boxing coach. You got a kickboxing coach. You got a Muay Thai coach. You still got to have a mindset coach, a strength and conditioning coach. So it's like even more so it takes a village, and super appreciative of them as well. And anywhere that I have trained, it's always open arms, especially up here in the New England area. Shout out to Triforce MMA. Shout out to Team Rockstar. They've been my backbone throughout this whole process. And I get over to Joe Lozon's gym up in Massachusetts, so he's been definitely helpful in the process. And a bunch of other gyms, especially like even my boy Connor Matthews. He's in the UFC. His gym is called Mom's Basement MMA because it's at his mother's house in the basement. So it takes a village, and I'm super grateful to cross paths with all these people. So.
Very, very nice.
Oh yeah.
Rylee, so is there anything like that you have to say to like wrestlers that you currently have, or wrestlers that might be listening to this podcast that are based in Florida, to like come and join you, as any shout outs you want to give people, I guess?
Plug your stuff.
Plug your stuff.
Plug my
We'll tag your
stuff.
stuff around here, your Instagram, Facebook, but
Yeah, absolutely. I would just say, like, don't be scared of anything ever. Don't ever feel like, oh, I'm not good enough to be a travel wrestler. Oh, I'm not good enough to be a travel athlete. Oh, I can't pursue this dream because it's not realistic. Like, if people are holding you to too high of a standard, it's not that it's too high of a standard. It's that you just haven't achieved it yet. Just keep persevering. And as far as like being on a team with me, just do it. Just do it at least once to say you did it,
yeah.
Just say you traveled with us, you were part of Big Money, and once you're a part of it, you're going to stay a part of it. And whether that means wrestling for me again or just staying in touch, like, once you become a wrestler, even on any travel team, really, it's like a big family. Like I said earlier, as far as networking, like, my girls that wrestle for me, they come from all over the country. Like, I'm not even just Florida-based. Like, some of them come from Florida sometimes, but a lot of the time I'm looking at Georgia, Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina, California, Oregon, Washington. Like, just take that leap I mean, don't be afraid of it.
Wait, so are you guys like not practicing together, or you guys just do the tournaments?
Just
do
the tournaments. They do their own
dope.
club.
That's dope.
Yes.
Yeah, dope.
They do their own club wrestling. The way it works is they show up for the weekend. I introduce myself. They introduce themselves. And I watch their first match, kind of get a gist on how they wrestle. And from there, boom, I know what you're doing.
Yep.
Oh, I know this kid's coming with me. She's going to hit a chicken wing.
Yeah.
Oh, I know this kid's coming with me. Chin whip. Like, you just know.
Yeah. That's like the Kong team. The Kong team that they usually win like the Virginia Beach duels. That was the same process. You know, they kind of hit you up and like, hey, you want to come wrestle with us? I'm like, I guess so. But when I was on the team, we lost in the finals at Virginia Beach. We lost to Young Guns. But you don't talk about that?
Oh, Young Guns Wrestling Club?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's Mario's team. Mario's wrestling club. Small
Young
world.
Guns Black.
Very small world. But I was saying how like these wrestlers are gonna be stuck with you forever because they're forever gonna have a T-shirt with your face on it.
Exactly. I have one girl, every time she wears a singlet to practice, hey, just wanted to let you know I'm wearing your singlet again. I'm like, is this an everyday type of thing? She's like, don't worry, I wash it. I'm like, okay, but you don't have to tell me every time. She's like, I want to.
That's funny.
You love that. Love that. I mean, I usually just get on here and start rambling. You know, we have guiding questions, but I just like, I don't know, kind of free balling today. But
yeah.
If you had to say, like, who do you look up to in sport as far as where you kind of get your coaching style from, or do you just freestyle it and you know take it day by day and learn?
It's a little bit of both, but I could never sit here and just take full credit for who I am because that's obviously I looked up to somebody at some point, you know? When I started, actually, I wrestled with a Georgia team for my first travel team, and I think that was the only time I actually traveled. And Charlie's Angels, they've got teams out in Georgia and Illinois and a couple places, and they weren't Charlie's Angels yet, I don't believe, because I wrestled for, like, Georgia Club or something. But then Colby Yates actually is one of the coaches at Charlie's Angels, and Chuck Morris and John Seebeck, all of them. They just kind of were somebody I looked up to for a little bit, thinking about like, oh, they got a big brand and they've got like a big name for them. Like you hear Charlie's Angels and you know who's coming, like, you know, who's going to be coaching type of thing. And I kind of wanted something. Chuck Morris, M-O. No.
They old as hell.
No. No. Just them, and then like there's a coach out of Illinois. His name's Michael Hamilton, and he was the one that introduced me to like the idea that it can be fun and like there's no structure to it doesn't have to be structured every single time you do a team. Like he had YouTube Mafia or whatever, Hamster Mafia, like all of these random teams, and the kids had fun with it. And he introduced me to the fact of like it can be fun and serious, but just go for it, you know? So I've taken a lot from a lot of different coaches to kind of create who I wanted to be and who I want people to look up to.
Okay. Love that.
That's the perk about being like the head coach too. It's like, it's your way. Like the way you want to teach people is the way you want to teach people. The way you want to like just coach the team, that's how you coach the team. Like sometimes if you're an assistant coach, like you don't have that final say. You're like, oh, this is what we're doing. Said and done, you know?
You have to kind of run it through them. But yeah, there was one time that I had coached for a Charlie's Angels team. I think I was at Disney Duels, and one of the girls threw her headgear at me like after a match because she was mad. And I couldn't like be like, oh, well, because I wasn't the head coach. I just kind of took it and I said, somebody go get her before I do. But like being the head coach, like I really, really try to have it to where the girls know, like, you can't act that way after a match. You have to have discipline. If you're not going to have discipline, like I don't turn people away, and I don't like base it upon like their level. Like, we end up always doing really well, but not all of my girls are like these fantastic girls all of a sudden. Like, I'll take everybody and anybody who wants to be there, because honestly, sometimes that girl who struggled all season just wants to be on a team with other girls, and that's going to carry her through the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when they do get mad after a match or something like that, like, being the head coach, not that I'm, like, disciplining anybody, but I can walk over and say, hey, listen, look at me. Don't do this.
Yeah.
Especially because that you never know when college coaches are watching.
Mm-hmm.
I had a duel. Yeah, I had a duel in Alabama. College coaches watched the entire duel because they saw it was big money, and they said, I know a lot of those girls are seniors in high school because they know me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
I had a question, but I lost it. What it was about that, but it'll come back. But I think I'm done asking all my questions unless that one comes back to me in like the next 2 minutes. Damani, do you have any questions? Or Rylee, do you have any questions for me or Damani?
I was just gonna ask quick. Do you ever get any pushback to like the formation of your team, being that it's not like organic, like from a club, but kind of recruited? Does anyone ever be like, hey man, you guys are kind of, cheating because you're getting this, you guys are from Florida, but you got this girl from Cali and this girl from Oregon, and you even got a girl from Kansas. So like, is there any pushback as far as that?
Absolutely. But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, as long as the coaches can keep it professional and like not do that in front of the kids, like, if you have a problem with it, pull me aside, pull the tournament director aside, pull the ref aside, whoever you want to pull aside, and let's talk about it. Because, listen, if you're mad that this underdog team that I just made from around the states, from all around the, like, U.S., if you're mad that they just beat you because they didn't train together, imagine if they had trained together. Like,
that's true.
I know that sounds silly. Right. I mean, you can't be mad. Like, these girls put in the work all year round. Just because I'm not in a club with them, like, coaching them the way I want to coach them all year, or making them be the wrestler that I want them to be, doesn't mean that I don't make an impact when I do see them,
Mm-hmm.
Like, we warm up together, they do everything together when they are together for the weekend. They're inseparable. Are you sure I have to go back to my hotel? And be like, yes, please go sleep.
Make a match tomorrow. My question came back to me. Are you doing so you said the one tournament that you have in April. Do you have any for the summer coming up that you're getting ready for?
It's still in the works. Like I said, we usually do Deep South. I'm not sure if we're doing it this year. I'm trying to kind of widen our variety and go other places and find new challenges. So, once I figure out some dates and tournaments, I can absolutely have you add that in if you'd like. But right now it's all in the works. Yeah. I thought about Disney. I might do that one. That one's hard because you have to pull from certain regions, so I can't have my usual, hodgepodge from all over. It has to be from, and they broke Florida into like separate counties too. It's so weird.
Really?
Or like regions. Yeah. And they have to be like, yeah, and they have to be like adjoining. So like, they broke Florida into 3 pieces, and I'm in the middle, so I can only pull from Florida. I'm like, yeah. It's weird.
Orlando?
Yeah, I'm over in Titusville right now, so about 40 minutes from Orlando.
Okay. I'm in Orlando too much nowadays.
Okay.
He's just there. Girlfriend, we'll give her a little shout out. She is a WWE Next upcoming referee. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Okay.
So she's famous, so
she is.
She doesn't talk to me anymore. No, I'm kidding.
Well, next time you're in Orlando.
And even if I'm down there, I definitely reach out. If you guys got like a club or something, I could come in and, do a clinic or something. Figure it out.
Absolutely.
But it's dope. It's been dope talking to you for sure.
Yeah.
And it's really insightful for me because, I really don't get the opportunity to, speak on women's wrestling like that, or even speak to any women's coaches, so it's an eye-opening experience for me. Definitely proud to say that we can advocate for women's wrestling on the pod and have people like you come on and do this. So I want to thank you for jumping on here with us.
Yeah,
I
and
appreciate
wanted
you guys
to
having
thank
me.
you for coming on again too. And it was nice to officially meet you because clearly, like, I see you, like, we see each other on TikTok, I'm sure, like Instagram,
Yeah.
we talk all the time. So this is nice to finally put a face to the real name, I guess.
Absolutely.
And definitely
yeah.
plug your socials, plug them now, let people know any upcoming events you got, where they can find you, where they can find your team, anywhere you want to bring attention. You know, the floor is yours.
Appreciate that. I
The
appreciate
floor
you guys
is yours.
having me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I know, Serena, when you reached out, I was like, oh, I'm kind of nervous. I don't really do like interviews like that. And you're like, oh, it's informal. It's all right. We're just talking. I was like, okay, I can talk. I know how to yap.
Yeah.
We're just on here shooting it.
Yeah, the purpose of this podcast is to start bringing on different types of coaches, athletes from all over the U.S., just to talk about wrestling, the sport wrestling, because obviously there's a bunch of podcasts out in the world, but we kind of wanted to start something new. It's fun for Damani and I to kind of just get away from our normal day-to-day jobs, so we just talk to people. Our producer Natasha's on here as well, so it's fun to just have her come.
Shout out to the producer.
Okay, Natasha.
But I think that is it. That's all I have. So
that's definitely it. You know, this was a great episode. And again, you know, like, comment, subscribe, check us out anywhere you get your pod. I think we need to make an Instagram for the pod because I feel like it's kind of getting
we'll do that.
Jumbled.
Yeah, you guys do that and I'll shout it out for sure.
Perfect.
Oh yeah, we love that.
Well,
I've got tons of wrestlers already. Coach, when's that podcast dropping? So
hey, let's go.
That's what we like to hear.
Tell them to fill out the QR code and we get them on here as well.
I was gonna say, I definitely have some that would be interested. Even some of the college athletes, like if you ever want them on, they would love that.
Send them the code, the link, and we'll schedule it. We'll get them on here.
Man, they better shout me out. I tell you what.
They will.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so I guess we'll see everybody next week, right?
That's it. Address of Champions Wrestling Podcast, episode 4 in the books. Got Coach Macdonald, right?
Yep.
Coach Macdonald. She's out here killing it. Big Money Movin. We out here.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.